Alina, this book is something else. She's saying, she's saying that the things that, that stand out to you, the things that you want to repeat and all of these things into your life. Listen, everything
stands out.
So I break it down into portions that I can manage.
This really was transformative.
Can you all hear me?
Yes. Are you hearing me?
I'm hearing you.
Hearing you loud and clear.
Oh, hello, everyone. It seems that we've lost Alina. So we will give us some time to get the technical things sorted out. But for now, welcome and good evening to everyone on the panel. We have a great panel here this evening. And everyone who's listening, whether they're listening on YouTube or on Facebook, it's really great to have you for Book Club Conversation number 6. We're looking at the Uncommon Achiever. We're now on to chapter 15. And in chapter 15, we're talking about habits. In fact, this particular chapter talks about make the gift of have habits work for you. And I know that forming good habits is something that we all talk about. So let's, get into it. And maybe what we can do is a short introduction because I know we have a new face with us tonight. So I'll ask everyone to give a quick intro. And when you do that intro, just one thing that jumped out at you from this chapter, as we begin our conversation. And maybe we can start with Chanel.
Hi, good night, everybody. So I'm Miss Chanel Richards. And one thing that stands out to me when I think about habits, I think of something that is constant.
Chanel, you're not going to get off so easy. So when you say constant, Chanel, give us an example. Give us any example of what you mean, something that is what when you say so.
So in a way, you could say it's something that is routine. What people do every morning, as you know, I will always bring it back to children. So as a mom, you wake up in the morning, you have breakfast with them. You may say you'll wake up in the morning, you say a prayer. So those constants will come add value to their day.
Yes.
So they know that this is something that we should always do. We will get up in the morning, we say prayers, and it's a tradition that they will pass on to when their time, when they're ready to have children, so that they will continue. So it's a constant. That's keep it moving.
Okay, great. So we have Simone. Hello, Simone. What about you?
Hi. Good night to all the uncommon achievers tuning in and to the panel. Great men have great habits. That's one of the things that stood out for me, especially since I am the creator of Create Your Own Narrative. It's a workshop to empower persons to create their own narrative, to take their story and change it around into what they know is their purpose and is their passion. And for all of us to be able to achieve any goal, we need to develop habits. You know, there's a saying we're accustomed hearing, practice makes perfect. But I remember years ago someone sharing, practice doesn't make perfect, you know. Practice makes permanent. So if we have a habit and the more we do it, if the habit is not something that is going to help us to perfect something, it will actually just be something that is permanent. So habits need to be well thought of and intentional in order for it to be impactful.
Yes, well said, Simone. In fact, I've heard someone say that we really don't have a choice when it comes to habits. You know, we're always following some habit. You know, even if it is we count ourselves as not being an achiever, it takes practicing something to be that way. In other words, not
Correct.
not planning, not organizing, not setting goals, giving up often. That's a habit. So, point well made, Simone. I know we have a new face with us, Miss Capruna Vincent. Did I get the name correctly?
Yes, you did.
Yes. And tell our listeners, those tuning in, a little bit more about yourself, and then you share as well. Maybe what was your big takeaway from the chapter 15.
Okay, so my name is Capruna Vincent. I am a financial analyst in the telecommunication industry.
Hmm.
Um, and I think coming off from being introduced to one, the book club, and to the book, I would count myself as an uncommon achiever.
Great to
Someone
have you.
who, say that again?
Great to have you.
Someone who that persons would not have expected to achieve certain things following a specific path,
Yes.
but I made it happen anyway.
Yes. In
That
spite
is
of.
me. And for the chapter itself, what jumped out to me is the fact that they used Jesus as one of the examples. And as the first line really said, great men have great habits. So they used the example of him every time he visited home, he would go to the synagogue, and that was his habit. And for some reason, the second line in the chapter, I guess it missed me because I couldn't remember reading it until um, I looked back down at it, and it said that the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. And while getting ready this afternoon, I was thinking about habits, and I realized that habit is a constant fixture in our evolution as a person.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter if it's a good or bad habit. That habit is what will chart us as we continue along in this journey called life.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And one of the things that clearly is coming out is the whole idea that, you know, you either way you go, you can have a good habit or you can have a bad habit. But it's very difficult to have no habit. You understand? So
Exactly.
so pick one, choose one. All right. I would there's something else that Mike Murdock said that I wanted to highlight though. When he used the phrase, he says, great men simply have great habits.
Yes.
What's your take on that? What do you think that Mike Murdock was trying to get at with that qualifier, simply? All right. Any thoughts on that, Chanel? Why did he use the word simply there? What were your thoughts around it?
The word simply is that will reflect something that is normal, practical to us.
Mm-hmm.
We do things every day, and I believe that when he said great men, because great men knows to make wise decisions,
Mm-hmm.
and their habits will be something that will wise, that will develop them, that will help them grow.
Yes.
So in that thing, it's so it becomes so simple to them because some of the hardest things in life is so simple to complete, and people
Mm-hmm.
make it as a challenge because like, how can I do this? Why would I do this? How they make it impossible to get it done. But somebody who is wise will understand it just means one and one is two, and it's really just that to get it done. So it by constantly doing it, it becomes permanent, as Simone will say, and it's become a habit. So it's a simple, smooth sailing. So they know that as the building, the Mr. will go to the synagogue every day, or somebody will wake up early in the morning. The writer will wake up at 8 o'clock, and he knows he's going to start a write at that time. As Mike Murdock would have said, is that he knows that if he gets up at that time, he will be able to do what he has to do. He gets it done, and then he moves on, and he has the rest of his day. It's
Yes.
just a simple task. So just make it, just to keep it mindful that whatever we do, just keep it simple.
Keep it simple. Yes, I mean, know the KISS formula. Keep it simple, right? Now, what about you, Capruna? What's your thought on the word simple there?
So to me, simple is just that. Simple.
Mm-hmm.
You get it done, it's straight to the point. This is exactly what you have to do.
Yes,
So
yes,
great men simply have great ideas. I guess once they realized this is what I want, they went straight for that um for that outcome.
for that outcome.
Yeah.
Okay. What about you, Simone? What's your thought on the simply phrase you used there?
Simply, I'm thinking formula. I'm
Mm-hmm.
thinking he's saying, there's a formula to this. And, once you have a formula, you repeat it. For those
Mm-hmm.
of us who did math, we, and a lot of us don't really like math, but the thing with math is there's a formula to get to the answer. And
Mm-hmm.
like he was saying, the formula for every situation or issue will follow the same way, right? So if we have a habit developed and it's a formula, it means that when we apply it, then we will get a particular outcome. So I think
Yes.
when he used simply, he's saying, you know what? Especially when you have your focus and your target, and you come up with a way to get it done, like baking a cake. I love the Naparima Girls Cookbook. Listen to me. I have gotten kudos from cakes that I made with the Naparima Girls Cookbook. Simply a formula that I put in.
Mm-hmm.
I made the recipe my own. I may tweak a little part, but that formula, you're sure to get a particular outcome. And once you know that outcome aligns with the success you want, you're going to repeat it.
Great. The importance of having a formula, something that you can repeat. Or for those of you in business, we refer to it as like having a system. What's the system that you're using? Are you using a repeatable success formula? Or are you just trying something? So a very important point we raise. I wondered as well if Mike Murdock was also trying to reach to those individuals who don't consider themselves great. You know, maybe you're there and you don't consider yourself to be great because you feel those people who are great are doing all these big things, right? So I was wondering as well if Mike Murdock was also trying to encourage the what we may call the common man, you understand, or the person who has may not have achieved to understand that they can do it too. You understand? Because it's simply about, you know, practicing or having these habits, which really are there for everyone. It doesn't require money, it doesn't require fame, it doesn't require anything, out of the ordinary except simply practice it. But we will, in another sense, what is simple may be difficult. And oftentimes, to achieve these things and maintain these habits requires discipline. All right. So I wanted to ask my other panelists here, in terms of discipline, is this something that has come easy to you, or have you struggled? And is there anything that you can share to help anyone listening in as to how to build discipline into their life? Because we know discipline can be challenging, you know. So as you think about it, I can recall trying to build discipline into my eating habits, you know, and it's a funny thing, sometimes crisis. And as I was thinking about the whole idea of how we form habits and how we grab onto habits, sometimes we have to create our own crisis. We have to create a sense of urgency, something that propels us to go a little step further when you don't want to get off the bed, when you don't want to do that extra sit up or that extra push up. You need to create something. Now, for me, unfortunately, that happened to be ill health, right? And I certainly want to encourage persons, don't wait until you have that kind of crisis to build the discipline of exercise and fitness and eating well. So that's my thoughts on it. So I know I may have given you some time to think about it some more. And maybe I could ask Kapruna to jump in, right? How was building discipline for you? And you could pick any area, whether it's your personal life, your business life, or any other area. Was building discipline difficult? And if so, how did you overcome it?
For me, building discipline is still a work in progress.
Right.
I have not reached that pinnacle of, okay, I have the discipline for this.
Yeah.
So I am still a work in progress. However, once my focus is on exercise or work, I would use work. So we know we're in a pandemic and we work from home. So the discipline needed in that aspect is to still adapt to that regime of sitting by your desk and completing your task.
Yes.
Because
without
you're
anyone looking on.
exactly. So because you're home, some persons may think, you know what, at home. So maybe I could lapse here or lapse. I mean, we all have our down days,
Yes.
but once we are disciplined where work is concerned, we would get up, get dressed, get it done, and then we have our day.
Yes.
So that is where discipline comes in for me.
Yes.
Because sometimes I would be, my whole thing is as I get up, say my prayers, I start to work.
Yes.
Because I know sometime during the day, I want to schedule my day a specific way. I want to get out of the house to complete some tasks because it's not as if you're in the office and could just run away to Charlotte Street or Henry Street or wherever, you know.
Yes.
You still have to fit these things in your
Yes.
schedule.
Yes.
So you get up, you plan your day. That is where your discipline comes in. You stick to what you have planned for your day,
Yes.
work wise. But other than that, I am still a work in progress.
Progress. I guess aren't we all, huh? Aren't we all? But you mentioned something there that came up and keeps coming up, From what you shared, it would appear you created the environment, You created the
Yes.
environment that would help you. So, people will talk about dressing the part, even though, when we're home, we like to kick back and relax. Some persons say, listen, no, dress the part. Put on something that reminds you of work. Create the workspace around you to simulate that kind of work environment to keep you focused. So, very interesting points there. Simone, what about you? In terms of building discipline, was it challenging? Was it easy? And how did you overcome?
So let me jump off from something that Kipruna said. And she said, yes, you're working at home, but a certain hour, you want to get something else done. And to me, that speaks about your why. So for me, I will ask myself why. Why helps me to stay disciplined? Because when I identify my why, I have more of a vested interest in it. So, for example, I was doing some studies and I had to do a paper, very in depth and long paper. And I told myself, I'm working and I'm studying. How do I get this done? And the way for me to get it done was for me to get up when I get home, sleep, and get up in the early hours of the morning. That took a lot of discipline because, hello, that bed was nice and warm and I could do it asleep. But I said to myself, Simone, why? Why do you want to do this? And I told myself, see the light at the end of the tunnel. And then I broke down what I wanted to do and how I wanted to achieve it. So keeping my why in focus and having that vested interest in it helps me to stay disciplined.
Great. Thank you very much, Simone. And Chanel, what about you? Had
I will
is discipline
safely
something you
say,
struggle with? Yes?
very much so.
Okay.
I am that spontaneous person that gets up in the morning and say, I have schedules, I have routines, yes. But I will get up in the morning and say, okay, today, all right, we have this to do. And then being that, the mommy with younger kids, it pops up and there are things that just happens and the day will go off course and be like, okay, all right. So I'm disciplined enough to know that we have certain things to get done to make sure that it happens. But I'm also in the sense that have to, I will redo everything to make sure that we can function for the day. So sometimes we like say, okay, spontaneously, I might have to run on the road and they have classes, or this will happen, and or work will happen. So I have to like put work on the back burner and say, okay, 10 o'clock tonight is when duty is going to happen for me and work. That's the time you should ready. Should be taking a nap, and you should be doing this. But you're going to have to burn that night oil to keep up and keep going. And then there are other days I'll wake up early in the morning and I'm doing everything. Then I might do something last minute. So it is a work in progress. And I think that, having that schedule kind of help, and that, just taking each day, one day at a time will definitely help you through that to perfect that discipline.
Great, great. Thank you very much. And one of the things that we would typically have for those of you listening in, and I know Capruna will be new to this, is we have a segment we call the rapid fire, where we would just answer a particular question on the spot. You may not have been, it would not have been shared with you before, right? And we tend to get a little personal, all right? So in the rapid fire segment, as Alina would do it, am I sounding good, folks? Am I getting it? As Alina would say, in the rapid fire segment, I want to ask about your secret sauce, right? As you look at your life and you look at your uncommon success and your uncommon achievement, and we're all achievers here in some way, all right? Whether personally, family-wise, relationship, career, volunteer work, church, whatever area you want to pick, right? What would you say would be a defining habit, right? A habit that you have, that you've practiced over the years, that you think has made all the difference to you, right? It's almost, it could be like a secret sauce, something that you do all the time. People may not know about it, and we pull in the curtain a little bit. We don't mind if you share with us this particular habit, and give us a sense of a time or an experience when this became very important and you were able to achieve this goal. A secret sauce, something, special, you may find unique to you. So for example, I know for me, one of the things that has worked for me very well is the whole idea of taking time to pull away, taking time to recharge. It's something that I do, and I do it regularly enough. For some persons, it's once a year. For me, I see it as quarterly. I see it as every week, to take that time and pull away. And it's something I know that has helped me because, when you're involved in business, and business coaching and training, or just life on the whole, things can get challenging and sometimes things can get confusing and you're not too sure. You have to kind of recalibrate and recheck and get a sense of what your values, your core values, the things you're going after. Am I going in the right direction? So I get at that point when I feel a sense of imbalance. So you feel that all the areas of your life are out of whack, as they would say. There's no harmony. So you feel a kind of pressure comes up. So I've always found it valuable to pull away, take some time away. And for me, spending that time with God, getting into the Word, getting into the Scripture, reflecting on the goals that I had for the year, that I would have made note of, and really getting into, am I really on the track that I'm supposed to be on? As something that has always worked for me. It helps to rejuvenate me. And after that moment, I'm raring and ready to go. But I know it's something that I have to do regularly now. So that's just me. All right. So I don't know who will be next. Don't all rush.
So you want us to share
Yes.
A secret sauce.
the
Yes.
secret sauce.
Okay. Well, I'll go first and see if this is what we're looking for. So my secret sauce is determination. I know. Okay. Let's see how I could put this. So, for example, where me achieving things, so be it academics or material things that I want, or to see my parents happy or anything like that. It all boils down to determination. So with school, I know when I was studying for both degrees, both my master's and my bachelor's, my father was sick during the entire two degrees. And I had to stay focused and be determined that I wanted the outcome to be that I achieved what I set out to achieve. So that was my secret sauce. Um, and it is something that most persons, anytime I'm speaking to them, they would point out that this is a trait that I have that seems to work for me, I guess, all year round, if you want to say that.
Yes.
But once I set my mind out for something, I am determined to achieve it. I will achieve it. That's my mantra right there. I will achieve it. From the time I put it on the radar, that is it. A failure is not something that I deal with well. So I know I am determined to get that outcome. So that's my secret sauce. That's the strength I
Great.
draw from.
Great. So I take it, Capruna, you do whatever it takes. If you have to stay
That's
up
correct.
late, if you have to sacrifice food, if you have to sacrifice going out, if you have to sacrifice leisure, you do whatever it takes.
That's correct.
Okay, okay. So could I say as well that you're one that can delay gratification? You can put off, you know, uh, momentary pleasures for something in the future very easily.
Yes.
Okay, great, great. Well, thank you for your sharing. Anybody else wants to jump in? You have a
Sure.
moment that you can share? Yes. Thanks,
I will
Simone.
go. I would say my secret sauce is mindfulness. Uh, Even from being a child, I have always been mindful of what I'm doing, but especially about other people. And I have to say, I would have gotten this trait from my parents who have seen me people who are always very giving and very service oriented. And mindfulness to me, that habit is about looking on the outside rather than seeing things just through my own lens. So it lends itself, and it's the foundation of it is considering other people, appreciating that we are all different, and communicating in a way that I connect with them. And in the workplace, for example, if I have a report to do or something to deliver, I always ask myself, okay, if I give this to this person, are they going to understand some of the context? Are they going to understand the jargon? So being mindful of who the recipient is allows me to be more detailed and give a better level of service. So I would say my secret sauce is mindfulness. And like Kipruna, people have mentioned that this is an attribute that they see within me, and it's helpful. And that's the important thing to me, that it adds value.
Great, thank you very much. So I see Alina is back with us. Alina, we're discussing our secret sauce when it comes to developing habits that help us to achieve. We were looking, each of us, into what are those things. What is that one thing, right, that we determine to be most important in helping us to keep on schedule, keep our habits going, and keep discipline. I mentioned pulling away. Caprona mentioned determination. Simone mentioned mindfulness, particularly when it comes to being considerate and serving others. So I'll give you some time to think about it and chime in, but certainly we want to hear from Chanel. Chanel, what's your secret sauce?
I would say my secret sauce is being nurturing.
Okay.
So, I'm not big on storytelling usually. So today I will, give you all a little story.
Oh,
So
great.
ever
Thank you.
since I was a little girl, I always my mother will compare me to Florence Nightingale. There is not a illness or sickness or a situation that will happen home that I will not get myself involved. I
Okay.
will be there to clean somebody's cuts. And if somebody get injured, be it neighbor, be it friend, be it who, I'm always that person. I was always nurturing when it comes to cooking at home and making sure that everybody gets the plates that they desire. In the sense that if my brother don't like vegetables, I mean make boljol, I'm going to take out all the saltfish and pick it out and put it on the plate for him, especially for him.
Yes.
And I will eat the vegetables because I'm a vegetable person. And we made a deal. So everybody get what they wanted. Everybody was happy. Everybody was satisfied.
Yeah.
And it brought me to the point where I am now a mommy and the trade continues. And then I also apply that when I'm working everywhere. And God has blessed me enough to always continuously work in situations where I will be among children.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes the nurturing effect may become a challenge because I tend to get like emotional. Something happened with a child and I'm like, no, can't happen.
Yes.
And I go into mode and become this person trying to shield and protect and trying to fix, the situation for the person. And then again, I am the person that understand how to help somebody fix the situation. So it's a good and a bad at the same time. So traits will be
Yes, I went out for a little bit there. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So I got your point about nurturing. I'm not sure if you will complete, Chanel. Was there anything else you wanted to add?
yes.
Okay, great, great. Thank you very much.
No, that was it.
Okay, great. Thank you. So Alina, what about you? As we turn back over to you, what's your secret sauce?
I of course I jumped back in late, right? But will you please remind me? The question was, what is it that keeps us being able to
We
pursue having good habits?
Right. We all have. We all are striving. We're all a work in progress, according to Capruna. When it comes to developing good habits, and of course, along the way, there are things that we've been able to do that has helped us, that has been particularly instrumental, you know. So it's been Kapuna's determination, Chanel's nurturing. I talk about pulling away. Simone spoke about being mindful. What would be that one thing you think that has helped you to stay on track, to stay disciplined in achieving your goals, and maybe share a story around it? One example,
Motivated by instinct.
right?
I always have been, and it's my driving force. So motivated by instinct, sometimes it feels good in that I feel motivated to do something. I feel very connected with maybe a project, a person, a situation, and so I'm motivated to figure out, okay, how can I give myself the best? How can I position myself to do the best in this particular situation? But then the opposite holds true for me as well, keeping me on par, which is that being motivated by instinct means I also become very uncomfortable when I'm not living in the thing that I'm supposed to be living in. So that way, the discomfort of not living out the instinct that is on the inside then too becomes the driving force for me to say, okay, I need to figure this out. And so it works on both ends. And an example I would say in the positive of it would be maybe when I got into digital programming, I was passionate. It came naturally once I exposed myself to the area. And so I was very motivated and I say excited to get it done. And I figure out how to incorporate it in my daily routine because digital programming certainly has become a daily experience for me. But in the opposite, as I would have been sharing with you guys in one of the earlier sessions, when I made that transition into um, full time entrepreneurship, as we sometimes call it, it wasn't because I was excited and passionate. It was because the discomfort that I felt on the inside was so strong. And it had me so uneasy, and I could find very little peace that I had to say, you know what? This not gonna work. I'm gonna change some things. I'm gonna take that step out. I'm not going back to corporate. I'm gonna get into business because there's something on the inside that it resonated, and that caused me to, even while I probably had a sense of anxiety or nervousness, it kept me at peace because I knew I was living within my space of instinct to do, so that that keeps me calm. And once I have that drive, what it means is that I'm then going to be able to say, here's what. How do I figure out how to move forward and begin compartmentalizing, begin making decisions, just begin moving forward because I'm now driven from the inside. But even as I mentioned, the whole idea of compartmentalizing and understanding the areas that I need to commit to developing the habits that I need, it causes me to ask you guys the question that says, what categories of habits have you become mindful of to make sure to include as part of your journey towards achieving your goals? And I'll give you an example of what I mean by that. For me, being able to break up my day into time slot, that has become a habit from the perspective of planning, and it stays a habit during the day when I choose to stay committed to it. So I know that maybe I'm going to take 2 hours to do a particular task. I may take 30 minutes on another task. And even I heard Capruna mentioning running away to go Charlotte Street. Even if we have to run away to go do an errand, that becomes part of the time slot of the day, that whether it's going down the road or whether it's knowing that maybe I need to cook or I need to clean. How do I factor this in to the time slots in my day, the time slots in my week, understanding that as a business owner, I have to juggle between marketing duties. I have to do administration. I have to follow up on accounting. I have to look at the service. I have to tend to the needs of the clients and queries and all the other things that go along with it. I have to factor that in to my schedule and my regimen to make sure that I'm not overlooking, I'm not leaving out. So even as I think for me, that category of time management and developing healthy habits, as it pertains to really being able to move forward, I'm curious for you all, what category would you say have been like a focus for you? Because surely time management isn't everything to habit. There are many other habits we could embody and encourage. So, I just really wanted to leave the floor open to hear from you guys about what habit and focus you give to make sure you're staying in that place or continuing along that path to achieving your goals.
I can jump in.
Yes.
um, I Well, quite a number of categories I would think that relate to what I would term work-life harmony. You know, so the categories that I can think of are the categories that help me to maintain that balance, for want of a better word, or harmony among all the various areas of my life. So I think for me, it first starts with, I think Simone had mentioned it, the whole idea of knowing my why. So spending some time understanding what's important for me and what's important to me, all right? What's important, the things that I want to achieve and why I want to achieve it. I remember in a session, Create Your Narrative with Simone, she referred to it as your ikigai. Did I get that pronunciation correct? Right? So,
Yes,
so
you
that
did.
whole so that whole idea of finding that it starts there for me. Then preparation and planning, I think, is another big part. Taking that time to look at your schedule. So for example, I live by the calendar. Everything I have to do is on my Google Calendar, so I can find that anywhere, anytime on my phone. It's on my laptop, on a desktop. I can get it on the cloud. So that whole idea of preparation and planning, right, and to make sure that my day and my week is balanced out. So as I prepare, I look at, okay, am I spending the time that I need to spend with family? Am I spending the time I need to spend keeping fit or resting? I would say that that as a category would be important. I'll share a second one. Thanksgiving, taking time out to say thanks. And I give thanks every day, every second, all the time. And it helps to keep me grounded. It helps to keep me cognizant of the privileges that I have, the fact that I'm alive, that I have health and I have strength. It keeps me sober. It keeps me happy because I recognize and value the benefits that I have. And that thankfulness cuts across all different areas of my life. So I'll share those two categories as being valuable for me.
Yeah. Chanel, what about you?
For me, I would say spirituality, letting go and letting God, taking that moment to remember that He's in charge. And so, whatever the day may bring, I just, take that time in prayer and allow Him to let Him take control and guide my day the way that it should go. Because, as I say, life is spontaneous for me. I may not be the best in terms of keeping that time management accurate or keep on going at it. It's definitely a skill set that I'm working on to improving. But letting go and letting God take charge. The day I get my stuff done with Him at my side, guiding me and putting things in place to make sure that it happens.
Thank you, Chanel. Simone?
So, my personality, I am very intentional about what I do. I have developed that over time. And one category is making sure my well being is taken care of. And that starts from the time that I am aware that I am up in bed. I refer to those first moments where I'm on the bed as soaking. I'm just reflecting on the day. I invite the presence of God. I talk to Abba Father. We talk about everything. We talk about life. We talk about what the day may have. We talk about some of the challenges. We talk about the successes. We talk about His purpose for me, my life, and how it's unfolding to impact other persons. And I treasure that time. I must start my day there with God because, after that, it gets so busy. And for the professional part now, when it gets busy, I have a to-do list and it's a habit. As I log on my laptop, I go into my recent folders and I always click that to-do list first. It's a habit of mine because the day before I would have mapped out there what I need to accomplish for the next day and for the week. That helps me to keep on track. That is, and one of the whys associated with it is I don't like to feel out of sorts. I don't like to feel like I missed a deadline or I'm running behind. So having my to-do list, that is what helps me to keep on track towards achieving my goal and my success. So it's that well-being, first thing in the morning, connecting with God, and then professionally during the day, making sure that I have my list there that I refer to.
Thank you, Simone. Capruna.
You on mute?
Sorry. For me, time management is not a go-to for me. I am sadly a procrastinator. However, being a procrastinator, I know that my end point is that I want to complete whatever task I have at hand, be it personal or professional. So at the beginning of being given that task, I have a habit of asking a lot of questions. So, for example, if we have a meeting and the team is assigned a task, before we leave that meeting, I tend to ask a lot of questions. So my first thing would be, you'll bear with me. You know, I like to ask a lot of questions. And I would start because I would usually have a list of questions that I would have jotted down during the meeting that I want to get covered to ensure that the outcome is what is expected and not just what I have in my mind. Um, and then I would piggyback off of Simone. um, there is the need to keep a God centered focus for me as well. I have, when my day starts going downward, or I feel like I'm second guessing myself and I need to get back to that positive place, I have a quote that I have on my mirror. I also have it on my phone. So when I reach that point, I go to the mirror and I would read the quote off of the mirror. And that would give me that renewed push to get going where I need to go. So the quote says that a positive, sorry, right, a good attitude towards God makes Him move on your behalf. So once I realize things are not going how I would like it, that's my recenter. So I get to the mirror and that's my focus. That's my habit that I go to get me back to where I need to be.
Thank you, Capruna. Two things I want to jump in and say. Firstly, I want to thank you for sharing that because, there are so many people who, because they've not perfected having good habits, they sit and they feel down in the dumps and they think, oh my gosh, I can't, I'm such a this. And they say all these negative things to themselves. And so I really soaked in how, yes, you acknowledge that something is not yet your strong point, but at the same time, you were able to share what you do to compensate and strengthen yourself and keep yourself efficient, which for you is asking your million and one questions and being comfortable with that. Because again, as I say, I could think of so many instances where people, they do a lot of negative self-talk because they've not yet developed those skills. So I'm really happy for that reason that you would have shared that bit. And even as you talked about reading that bit to yourself in the mirror, of course, immediately my mind went to Vision Sunday, and I went immediately to Vision Works and thinking about the work they're doing through their podcast, really just to share with others and help them to do just what you just described there, which is to be in a place of using positive affirmations and speaking positive things over themselves. So that was really nice. Thank you so much for sharing. And I do want to take a minute and just share just one or two points that came up in the comment section. The first being negative habits, negative or positive, impact not just ourselves but others negatively or positively. They impact our relationships and our reputations. People actually know our character by our habits. And I love that point that Paula was making there, because it's quite true. On one hand, we want to be mindful that positive habits are good for us as individuals, but then too, we also remembering that positive habits really help people understand who we are from a place of integrity and character development. Wow, we have a rapid fire. I feel so excited. People jumped into our rapid fire tonight, guys. Rapid fire. Kindness is my secret sauce. I constantly try to meet people at their point of need. This has helped me develop meaningful relationship. I love that. And kindness being combined the whole habit of being a habit forming, because we could make it a habit to be kinder. And I love that. And finally, we have here Paula shared with us that kindness helps her to keep herself in check. And I love that it keeps us in check because it keeps us humble, it keeps us open-minded. So achievers, my people on screen with me, even as we wind down on this evening's bit, I want to ask you, what closing thoughts are there that you would want to leave with those viewing live, as well as those who would look at the replay?
So, two things. Paula said it, where she spoke about habits influence people as well, and it identifies you, or it maps you, it associates you, it links you to that particular habit. And that in itself is identifying you by that brand, right? When you are known by something, it's like your brand. So that we do have to be very mindful of the habits that we have. And Chanel said something very powerful at the start, where she spoke about the habits that you have, they go on to impact the people around you. And I know for her, it's her children. Just like for me, some of my habits are from my parents. So I know and I understand my love for reading, even though my children may push back at it sometimes, I know that they also will have a love for reading, or the outcome of it, how they're able to express themselves. So the habit could be something that it will identify you by that. So it becomes your brand. And as well, it will be replicated around the people who are very close to you, in particular, your children.
Yeah. Kapruna, what about you? Any closing thoughts to share?
So, in the beginning of the session, I would have expressed that when getting ready to come on, I was thinking about habits, and I realized that a habit is a constant feature on your roadmap, your life roadmap. And these habits are what will decide where your road turns, what part of the map you'll end up on. Be it if it's a good habit, then sometimes there may be setbacks on your roadmap, but you'll get where you need to go. The bad habits may teach us life lessons along that road. But either way, these habits are they are what are constant in our life as we change or evolve as individuals.
Thank you so much. And Roel, what about you?
Yes, I would want to go back to the first two lines of the chapter, I think, which captures the entire chapter. And the second line, he says, Mike Murdock says, the secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine. And I think this says a lot for persons who are striving for better and always worried about the future. I have a quote up on my Facebook page that says it's like this: you're not going to master the rest of your life in one day. You're not going to master the rest of your life in one day. Just relax, master the day, then keep doing that every day. Okay? So what it says for me is that I don't have to get caught up in worrying about the future. In fact, if I want to peek into my future, if I want to get a sense of what my future will be like, just look at what I'm doing right now. What am I doing today? And that's all you need to focus on. Focus on what you're doing now and do that well, do it repeatedly. We do best what we do often. So I just like to encourage persons to take that time. Don't stress about it. There's gonna be failure along the way, but that's all part of it. But just keep working at it, keep focusing on the present and the now in relation to that future that you want to achieve.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you for being in with us. Thank you those who looked live. Thank you to those who are going to view after. Keep on reading. Tomorrow we on to chapter 16. Until the next time, have a great evening.